Yeah, it's about the bag with the triple single crew. We got Ronnie, Doc, Antonio, the real deal too. They coming and dropping knowledge, you know that they get to work. You know that triple single cover Bay Area sports. You know I'm coming hard, I don't feel like I'm in a hurry. Like number 30, I really got the range like Stephen Curry. Get a couple rings, you know.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Triple Single Crew here, TSC Bay Area. Remember to follow us at TSC Bay Area on Twitter, Instagram. Make sure you guys leave a like below, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell as well. So, fellas, been watching a lot of Warriors lately. Obviously, it's basketball season right after the break. We talked last week about what happened with Wiseman and getting suspended and that whole thing. And we talked about his development. So today I just want to kind of pick you guys' brain about, as far as Wiseman, do you think that the Warriors are setting him up to fail or to succeed with how they're bringing him along? What do you think, Doc?
Man, this is a tough question. And I know I was one of the ones that brought up this potential segment up, but I think it's tough because on one end, you have the Warriors trying to be a bit patient with him. They started him right off the bat, which I didn't know if it was a good move, but I think it was their way of trying to boost his confidence, especially as a 19-year-old number 2 overall draft pick. But we clearly saw he wasn't quite ready, right? He had just dealt with COVID on top of the fact that he didn't play most of his college basketball season, on top of the fact that he probably didn't get the chance to condition like NBA conditioning. And then they started bringing him off the bench, right? But I think for me, what I'm having trouble with when I think about the way the Warriors are developing is that I think they're trying to develop him in some way as an old school big man. And that's just not what I think Wiseman is. Like, they want him down in the post, they want him rebounding. And I don't know if Wiseman's even a true center unless he just gets drastically bigger, which he should. With the nutritionists, with the trainers that they're going to get him during the offseason, he should get bigger. I'm hoping for a Giannis Antetokounmpo type of transformation in a few years. But even Giannis isn't a center, right? Let's keep that honest. Giannis isn't a center. And I think James Wiseman has a similar skill set with advanced shooting compared to Giannis, even how Giannis shoots right now. So to me, I don't know if center is the right position for him. I actually see him more as a power forward. Who could benefit from having an actual center to help him board up and allow him to play a little bit more on the perimeter. So that's just what comes to mind right now for me.
Okay.
And
what do you think, Ron?
Yeah, I agree with Doc. I mean, center's probably not the best fit just because, the game is so advanced now that you need shooting. He just graduated high school, he played a few college games. Everybody nowadays, can handle the ball, whether you're 6 foot or you're 7 foot. You dribble the ball, you can shoot the ball, you can do it all pretty much. And, as him being a number 2 overall pick, I still believe he was the right pick. They're just, probably just trying to rush it instead of like letting him develop. So, Doc talked about earlier, yesterday's game, he took the first 4 or 5 shots of the game. Just build his confidence up. I mean, at power forward, that'd be pretty good. I mean, that'll definitely open up the floor just because, he doesn't shoot that bad from 3. I believe last time I checked was around 40%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't take him as much, but I mean, that's still really good. So, that'll stretch out the floor more. And, I think that'll be a good move actually to put him at power forward.
Yeah, I like that. I like the creativity of it. I kind of see what you're saying. I think, when I think of bigs nowadays, I think of like Marc Gasol, even before Marc Gasol in his prime was already doing the stuff that they're asking these guys to do now, which was shoot the 3, start the offense sometimes, or at least be the secondary ball handler. And then he's just dishing it off. So pretty much Jokic. So for everyone that's looking at the Joker right now, but that's the thing. Wiseman's more athletic, much more athletic,
Way more athletic.
Right? And he can be a lot stronger too. I agree with you, Doc. I think he can get stronger. I don't think that that's the issue with the rebounding. I think that that's just that's a skill that you learn. Boxing out consistently and learning how you box out in the NBA is different than how you box out in college. What I mean by that is when you watch college games, you see a lot of these guys and they win based on their length and some of their strength. But their technique isn't that good. You got to get in there and you got to box out. And then if you can't get the rebound, one thing I'd like to see him do more, Draymond does this a lot, which is just tip the ball out. Juan Toscano Anderson does it a lot, which is fantastic, which is like look, I know I'm only 6'6", but I can create 2, 3, 4, 5 extra possessions if I just bat it back like volleyball style. So he doesn't always have to inhale rebounds. But I agree with you. I think if he can be kind of like, maybe obviously a much like a less skilled version of a KD,
Mhm.
or and then probably more like an Anthony Davis, where
Yep.
he has a great mid range, he can shoot it from the outside, but he does still need to be a good rebounder. So
Oh no, he does. Mhm.
right. So I think I don't want them to stop that part of it in terms of teaching him how, to offensive rebound and defensive rebound, but it's about I agree with you guys, like letting him develop, let the kid play. A
Yeah.
lot of this he needs to learn by being on the floor with Draymond, because and Steph and all these guys. Because next year, that's who you're going to be on the floor with, is going to be Draymond, Steph, Clay, God willing, right? And and hopefully some other pieces as well. And they're not going to just keep shoving it down to low block and expecting you to dunk. That will be part of what you do.
For sure.
But in the future, I think we hope that he turns into a more skilled, like I said, like a Jokic, Anthony Davis kind of like a younger version of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned the soul, but you mentioned Mark. But what came to mind as soon as you mentioned it was when the Lakers had Paul Gasol and Andrew Bynum, right? Paul Gasol, I think, played as a center before coming to the Lakers, and they're like, nah, bro, like you're too skilled to just be a center. We're gonna put a big man next to you, so that way you can actually help spread the floor. You're gonna get help with rebounding, and you can focus on these other things that you're really great at instead of just inhaling the board and throwing it out. You know what I mean? And so
Yep.
I just think with Wiseman's skill set, I don't think it would be done justice as a center in today's NBA. I think he could really benefit from just having another big man, because Draymond's the power forward when Wiseman's the center, and Draymond's only 6'9", you know what I mean? And yes, he's great at everything he does, but Draymond uses so much energy facilitating, playing defense, right? So he's not gonna have 100 like maximum energy to also try to board up every single time, especially against a guy probably bigger than him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And and I think Ronnie brought this name up, and was a guy we've actually been looking at, is like a guy like Luke Garza, right? Out of Iowa. These dudes is like 6'11", 265, very skilled, but I mean he can do the grunt work down low, and he's big enough and thick enough to take up that space. And you're right. You put a big like that, who you can get late first, early second, maybe. You put that with Wiseman, and then it just opens up a whole host of other things you can do. So you're not just looking at him as a lob threat, because right now it's more like pick and roll lob threat.
Yep.
But I think a lot of that has to do with just the fact that you don't have Clay, you don't have enough shooters. So I think last night is not the blueprint for what it's really going to look like next year. I think last night was a blueprint for what it needs to look like this year for the Warriors to try to win.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, this is why, and we talked about it last night, I would have liked to have seen more Pascal, more Juan Toscano Anderson, because those guys can rebound, or at the very least, they know how to battle down low better than Wiseman does right now. I mean, I think James only had 4 rebounds yesterday.
4 rebounds.
So, when you're 7'1", with his length and athleticism, you need to be averaging 8 to 10 rebounds. Even in your rookie year, I would expect him to average. I mean, Steph alone, and again, they know how to do this, but Steph gets 5 boards a game, So, I think for now, that's why they're playing him like this. But man, I really hope that they're not trying to do this going forward, because I agree with you guys. You gotta be able to have him as a threat from the outside. Boogie's a good example too.
Yeah, that's another great example. Yep, that's another great example. I think the difference is Boogie's like thick. Boogie's big. I mean, but Boogie had he was given the permission to play inside and out. I mean, he was given that permission openly to do that. And just another name I want to throw out there. You mentioned Luka Garza, but I'm gonna allow Ronnie to give the scouting report on this guy. Who is coming into the draft, might be there at number 4, potentially maybe number 5. That might be pushing it, but let's say we get the mini pick and we have number 4. He might be there. Evan Mobley out of USC. What's the scouting report on him, Ronnie?
7 feet tall. The only thing that you would question when you look at him is he's skinny.
He's skinny too.
But he's fast. So he can do it all. He can block shots. He can shoot the ball. He can post up. He plays at USC. He just dogged Kansas in the tournament. Definitely, he and Mobley and Wiseman play together. That's 2 7-footers that can shoot. And that can just do it all.
And run the floor.
Yeah. literally like a fast break, like a guard. So
Yep.
I
Ronnie,
don't.
you know who else was skinny? Kevin Durant.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean he's turned
Yeah.
out pretty okay if I do say so myself. I know some Warriors might have some flashbacks of Anthony Randolph, but these guys are a lot different, so don't worry there. And even Anthony Randolph was pretty skilled. Maybe it just wasn't the right fit, and his career went off the rails. But going back to where we're at,
Yeah.
yeah, I think right, just the Warriors need to be creative. I love Draymond. But man, this offseason with everything he already does really well, if he can just get a corner three, man, just a corner three. It doesn't have to be from the wing, doesn't have to just nonstop 1,000 shots every single day, then run it back next day with another 1,000 shots. If he could get a corner three, they could even play him at the three. Imagine Curry, Clay, Draymond. I know that sounds weird, but then if we were to get a Evan Mobley and James Wiseman, you'd have three amazing potentially rebounders. Hopefully by that point, you'd have two big men that could space the floor, and Draymond having the ability to facilitate. Man, I don't know.
Yeah. And keep in mind, I think with that lineup, you're talking about Wiggins or Oubre, whoever stays. Unfortunately, we're thinking probably Wiggins will stay.
Yeah, it'll be Wiggins.
And so he'd be your sixth man off the bench, which is
Yep.
probably where he should be, right? He needs to be that guy to just come in, give you some scoring, give you a little boost with the length, but he's not a guy to me that you can rely on for 30 to 35 minutes a night. He just isn't that guy. And, I'm not saying he's playing badly. And you look at the numbers, he's averaging about 17, 18 points a game. He's shooting 38% from three. He's getting some rebounds. He's getting assists, a steal and a block a game. So it's not like his numbers don't look bad. But when you watch the game, you watch the games and you see he's just not impactful enough. He disappears too much, and he gets bullied by bigger guys. And I think I told Doc this yesterday. It reminds me a little bit of kind of like a Mike Dunleavy, where he's really skilled. He can shoot. He can get around you. He does the Euro step thing. Has a mid range, but he's just not really strong enough to deal with guys that want to go up against him. Just back him down. We saw Tobias Harris do it over and over and over again last night.
Yeah.
And so he's just not a guy to me that you can play 30 minutes a night. He's not a starter. So like you guys said, if you find a Mobley or one of these other big kids, maybe my guy, Scotty Barnes, I don't know.
Scotty Barnes.
Or Luke Garza, whoever, and you match them up with Wiseman on the floor together, you're not going to have to worry about rebounding anymore. That won't be an issue.
Yeah, most definitely. And just, to clarify for any Dub fans watching, we acknowledge that Wiggins is probably 10 times more athletic than Dunleavy, but I just think it's more
right.
What the real deal is just trying to say is like the level of just energy and aggression that he plays with really resembles that of Dunleavy, where it was just very nonchalant. If he had a great game, cool. I'd actually say Dunleavy was probably more charismatic too. Actually, probably showed a little bit more personality than even Wiggins does. But they both just kind of have that laid back feel.
I think Mike might have been a more skilled scorer. Actually, I think he was 6'9" too, so he had a little more length on him. But you got it, Doc. It's like the lack of dynamic quickness and ability. Like if he gets to the basket, it's just because he was a little quicker and he was aggressive. But he doesn't do it enough. Like Oubre is scrappy. He is a scrappy guy. He may not score for 10 minutes at a time, but he will keep fighting. And he can guard bigger players and do it well.
Yeah.
And then he'll eventually get going on offense, he'll eventually get something. So, we're kind of torn because we think that maybe he'll be the one going. So, we'll see. But that's kind of what we're looking at right here.
And last take, Ronnie, what do you think? What do you think the Warriors need to just allow James Wiseman to do? Like with you watching the tape of this season, how can he finish the season off strong? What would that look like for you?
Definitely just letting him play as much as he can. I mean, I know there's been a couple of times where, he had to deal with COVID and then missing a test and just missing a lot of time. But like when he's out there on the court playing, just, let the kid play, do pick and rolls, spread the floor out, let him probably dribble into a shot, just let him play. And, he's young, he's definitely going to develop into, that true NBA player that he can really be. And, the fact that he can shoot just makes him way more dangerous. If he was just a post-up big, wouldn't be as he wouldn't be as much of a threat. But yeah, just, let the kid play. I mean, as much as he can. I know you said that starting him at the beginning of the year probably wasn't the best idea.
Yeah.
have him come off the bench, he'll learn more. But yeah, just letting him play and just seeing how he does. Definitely he'll develop. Definitely just being around that championship. Well, not championship mentality team since they have won the past few years. But I think he'll be fine. Just keep letting him play.
Yeah. Yeah. Will, is there any circumstance where Wiseman makes you doubt whether he was the right pick with the way he plays the rest of the season?
No doubt at all. I agree with you and Ronnie. I think that he was the right pick.
Okay.
I think talent-wise. His name is Wiseman. There you go.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, yeah, he's the guy. I just think he needs to develop. And bigs, this happens with bigs. I mean, go back and look at Hakeem Olajuwon's first year or two. Like, the numbers are good, but they're not nearly as good as they eventually became. Right, especially as a defender and as a shooter, he just became dominant. So I still think Wiseman was the right pick, and I think he will eventually grow into the player that we all think that he can be. But I agree with you guys. I don't think he's the guy that's going to be doing the grunt work down low. I don't see that.
Yeah. I just think he's too much of a finesse type player. You know what I mean? He comes more off of that as opposed to somebody that wants to bang down low, right?
Yeah.
Like a Ben Wallace. That guy wanted to bang every chance he got.
Oh man,
right?
you're talking about one of my favorite players ever.
There's just certain guys that's just in their DNA, right? That's how they play the game. That's how they became successful, by playing the game in that way. I just don't think Wiseman is that. He's usually been more athletic, bigger, faster than opposing bigs. But here in the NBA, he needs to let his other skills really just pop out.
Yeah.
That's the new game of basketball now. 15, 20 years ago, bigs weren't shooting threes as much as they were now.
Yep.
You could be 7 feet and you're not known for your 3-point shooting. You shoot one. That's a fine shot. So, it's just, the game developed and, that's what makes it better for bigs. It makes it more dangerous. So
absolutely.
Yeah, he's gonna be a killer.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's way too skilled. He's way too lengthy, and he's way too smart on this team with these other geniuses like Curry, Clay, and Draymond to not succeed. So with that, make sure you guys let us know below how you feel, and please comment on this. It's a great conversation. We could be doing this for another 30, 40 minutes easily. So we love doing it. Thank you again for following us, for checking us out, and we'll see you again next time with some great content. Take care.
See you, everybody.
Yeah, it's about the bag with the triple single crew. We got Ronnie, Doc, Antonio, the real deal too. They coming and dropping knowledge,